Since the early days of video gaming, there have always been iconic couples. From Princess Daphne and Dirk the Daring of 1983's Dragon's Lair to Princess Toadstool and Mario. With that said, none of them have gone through as many iterations or as much development as our pick for the greatest video game couple of all time, Zelda and Link.
Although Ganon is gone for now, there is still so much more for us to do, and so many painful memories that we must bear.
Before we begin, be sure to subscribe to MojoPlays and click on the links in the description to vote on upcoming content. Right out of the gate, audiences are introduced to the first installment of Link and Zelda in 1986's Nintendo classic, The Legend of Zelda. The story goes as follows. A villain kidnaps the princess in an evil bid to acquire the all-powerful magical MacGuffin, and the young hero sets out to rescue her and stop the bad guy. While legendary, this isn't exactly the stuff of legends. So, how did such a simple, bare-bones relationship become the greatest video game romance? Well, before we look at why they're so important as a pair, let's have a look at them individually.
I guess that's worth a kiss, huh? Ha! I won!
Link hasn't always been the most exciting hero ever. As with many video game heroes, Link is essentially a blank slate whose behavior and personality is largely left up to the player's imagination and interpretation. We are, of course, discounting the infamous Zelda CDI games from the 90s, as well as the Saturday morning cartoon show. Both of these were early interpretations of Link's personality, but because he was meant to be relatable to children, that meant making Link into an obnoxious little piece of shit.
What do you want?
A kiss. Come on.
No.
Then we stay like this.
Starting in 1991's SNES masterpiece, A Link to the Past, our hero of time begins to develop a personality and follow a relatively consistent character arc, with a key characteristic being that Link is an outsider. An adopted member of a family or community, he never quite fits in. But following events beyond his control, our hero is thrust into action, thus beginning the first steps of what Joseph Campbell calls the hero's journey. Link will usually find himself additionally ostracized and challenged, further compelling him to act. Notable examples of this are in A Link to the Past, where he's a wanted man hunted down by the palace guards, and 2006's Twilight Princess, where Link is turned into an actual wolf. This necessary push to return a balance and find your place in the world may not seem at first like it has anything to do with the titular princess, but in actuality, it's a central element in what connects the couple together over the course of a dozen games. Princess Zelda is, by and large, the face of the monarchy in her kingdom, Hyrule, and in Twilight Princess is an active sovereign. That Zelda is in some way greater than her own self, a goddess or descendant of a goddess, has been explored everywhere from 1998's Ocarina of Time to 2011's Skyward Sword, with her well-being often tied to the fate of the kingdom. This plays into the old and often complicated Japanese concept of kokutai, which is the belief in the divinity of the head of state, wherein the ruler is not just the leader of a country, they basically are the country. So, if the idea that she is the physical embodiment of Hyrule is taken into account, it makes the relationship between her and Link much more deep and interesting. It is important to note that throughout the series there has been very little explicit romance between Zelda and Link, one of the most notable exceptions being in Skyward Sword, where you start off as friends and equals, and as they individually fulfill their destinies, so too do they grow together as a couple. But more often than not, Link and Zelda exhibit the tropes of Western courtly love, which emphasizes Link's chivalry and Zelda's inherent nobility. That affection and honor are one and the same is underscored by Zelda's semi-divine status. So when Link acts on the behalf of Hyrule, it is by extension an act of love.
The hero of Hyrule. May I ask, do you really remember me?
While individually the storyline of each game is more often than not pretty darn straightforward, trying to connect all of the different games together will keep fans busy for the next 1,000 years. Sometimes Link and Zelda meet for the first time, sometimes only one knows about the other, and other times they have a pre-existing relationship. Whatever the case though, they always come together, whether by choice or by fate, and regardless of what you want to call it, love, romance, partnership, whatever, the bond between Link and Zelda is transcendent. Unlike say Peach and Peach and Mario, who also share a relationship that spans decades worth of games, Zelda and Link's connection takes on so many different forms, face so many different challenges, and span millennia. and yet still, the two always manage to find each other.
How proficient are you right now, wielding that sword on your back? Legend says that an ancient voice resonates inside it.
With a pairing that's far more complicated and deeper than you would initially think, is it little wonder that they keep pulling each other and gamers back in, and with every new incarnation proving over and over again that they are, in fact, the greatest video game couple of all time.
I'm surprised to admit it, but I can accept that.
Thanks for watching Mojo Plays. Be sure to subscribe and click on the link in the description below to check out our suggestion page and vote on what content you'd like to see us cover next.